Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's having a good new year. I know it's been a while since my last video, but this one is going to be particularly special. So today I'm going to be referencing a video by somebody called Gobsmack in the Stormgate community that I believe goes a long way in solving one of, if not Stormgate's biggest problem, and that is the game lacking some sort of hook or some sort of a unique aspect to it that is actually going to draw in players who are playing other RTSs right now, the core audience that Frost Giant games are going after, so people playing StarCraft, even people playing non-Blizzard RTS games like Age of Empires, and he has some really solid ideas on just how to achieve that. So recently we've learned that Stormgate is undergoing a huge overhaul to many different parts of its game, the artwork, the factions, even a lot of the game modes. Frost Giant are of course working on their 3 vs 3 team mayhem mode, which we haven't really seen revealed yet. Some people are testing it, so we don't really know exactly what that's going to look like. And so far what we've seen from the aesthetic side of things looks very promising. The new art director Alan Dilling, who of course was working on a lot of the Blizzard games in the past, StarCraft, Warcraft, etc. He looks like he has the art direction going down a really solid path. However, I've seen a lot of commentary about the game that this simply won't be enough to capture that RTS audience and really build Stormgate its own player base. So the problem is that, unit design and aesthetics aside, the gameplay of Stormgate hasn't really managed to hook in StarCraft players or really delivered anything new, and one of the big reasons is that they don't really have a solid hook of their own. It essentially borrows elements of other RTS games and rolls them into their own mix, right? There are a lot of elements from StarCraft, there are some elements from Warcraft with the creep camps. These have been mixed together, but it's very difficult to actually say what Stormgate's attraction is, what its allure is, what is it that's going to bring in players. But I think a really good test of what a game's hook is if you were asked to describe this game to your friend in a nutshell. And I think if you take a game like Portal, it has a very obvious hook. It's a first-person puzzle game, and you use portals to navigate around the world and solve the puzzles. Pretty simple, right? Your friend is going to understand that almost immediately. If you take something like Crypt of the Necrodancer, it's going to be a dungeon crawler game, but you have to move around to the music. Take Metal Hellsinger, it's Doom, but you have to move to the music. People understand the hook immediately and exactly what kind of a game it is. If I was asked to describe Stormgate to a friend, I'm not sure entirely what I would say. Basically, it's sort of like StarCraft, sort of like Warcraft, and it's got creep camps but what is actually different about it? I don't really know. Like, the campaign is similar to StarCraft's campaign, the 1 vs 1 is similar, all of the co-op modes are similar as well. There's nothing really that sets it out apart from the crowd to say this is the reason that you should come over and play Stormgate. And I do think that is going to be Frost Giant Games' biggest challenge going forward, is simply finding that hook. So first off here, I will be linking Gobsmack's full video down below. It's going to be a lot longer than this video, and he's going to go over all of the details on his game mode and how it's going to work. So I thoroughly recommend that you guys go and give that one a watch. It is well worth the time, and it's incredibly well put together. So Gobsmack's idea, really boiled down to a nutshell, is to expand the original idea of having creep camps on the map, and in his own words here, to encourage improvisation and strategic thinking in players, maps should be dynamic battlegrounds that bring them into conflict with their opponent over points of interest. These battlegrounds will morph and change as a result of these conflicts, offering new strategies and tactics over the course of a match. So, to me, this kind of looks like 1 vs 1, but with elements of co-op mode thrown in there as well. So just like in the regular 1 vs 1 mode at the moment, you will be able to just go straight for your opponent and outright kill them, but you can also go for a number of exciting objectives on the map, which far surpass the hook, I guess if you can even call it that, of the original creep camps, which, let's face it, they're pretty unexciting, especially for me if I'm casting a game. Both the players, they move out onto the map and they're taking those initial health camps. It's not the most fun thing to cast, it's not the most fun thing to watch either. It doesn't really feel all too impactful, and Frost Giant Games themselves have of course acknowledged this. They are looking for ways to improve this, and I think this could really be one for them. So his map design has 3 main pillars for it. First of all, objective-based map design. Secondly, creep camps that are actually worth defending, so people don't just capture them for their resources and then just leave them and not really care if their opponents take them back. And thirdly, exciting rewards. So he's mocked this map design up here in the StarCraft 2 editor, but one of the main features of it is these marauder camps that are dotted around the map. Now, if you kill one of these marauder camps, you can then gain access to Sigma gear, which I guess is somewhat going to be similar to the way you pick up items in Warcraft 3 for your heroes. It's actually going to make a meaningful impact on your team and your army, which could give you the upper hand against the enemy. And then occasionally, the scavengers in Fort Nokitoff, which is like the name of the map and the fort itself there up in the top left corner, they will send scouts patrolling around this road, and every time they go past a deserted marauder camp, they will occupy that camp and also level it up. So you can make a decision there. Do you want to kill the scouts before they get to the camps, or do you want to let them take over the marauder camps and then have more higher leveled up marauder camps that you can get even better gear from? And then he also has scavengers guarding these armory camps. So if you kill the scavengers around them, you will then have to actually stay around the armories, and these will be able to construct equipment for your army to use, and you will actually have to stay and defend the armory until that piece of equipment has been produced. If you get killed by your opponent or you just leave and walk away, he can then move in and claim that piece of equipment for himself. So I really like the way that this design here is going. Instead of the creep camps just giving you resources and empowering your army in that way, you're actually going to be getting potentially some very unique buffs and pieces of equipment, which of course could vary wildly from map to map and game mode to game mode. Now, once your army is powerful enough, of course you could decide to just go across the map and kill your opponent, or alternatively, you can go into the other corner of the map and try and take on Fort Nokitoff itself. Now, if you can manage to break down the gate of Fort Nokitoff and kill all of the units behind it, you can then get access to a shield generator. Take down the shield generator, and you get access to a new fabricator. Now, there is a guardian outside of this fabricator which will have to be taken down before you can claim it for yourself, and once you take down the shield generator, your opponent can also come across the map and decide to take the fabricator over themselves. So it is a little bit of a gamble there, but the rewards are definitely worth it. If you take over this fabricator, you can gain access to the V10 ion rocket launcher. And of course, on this map, guys, this is just an example of the different items and vehicles that could be available. Now, just like with the armory camps here, once you're producing one of these V10 rockets, your opponent could also come over and try and claim it for himself. So if you go to all of those lengths, you make it into Fort Nokitoff, you take out the shield generator, you get the fabricator, you produce one of these V10 rocket launchers, you're still going to have to go and take out your opponent and escort that rocket launcher across the map. But when it gets there, it is going to launch a very, I'm not sure I'd necessarily call it a nuclear bomb, but a very powerful missile, which will really give you a big advantage. So it definitely is something that you want to be fighting over with your opponent. Now, like I said, guys, Gobsmack's video goes way more in detail on this, and I thoroughly recommend checking it out. I'll leave it right at the top of the description box down below. But I really like his thinking here of really just basically taking the fundamental creep camp mechanic that Stormgate already has in it, and then just expanding on that in new and interesting ways. And really, the sky is the limit with this sort of stuff. Can you imagine what sort of stuff, not just Frost Giant Games, but also we could come up with, modders can come up with, once the editing tools are released to the public? And I do believe that if Frost Giant Games don't take this idea for themselves and make use of it, I think Gobsmack himself plans to actually make this map a reality once we get our hands on a proper editor. Obviously, everything in this demo has just been mocked up in various game engines, and he's been using footage from other games to showcase what he's talking about. So as always, let me all know what you think of this in the comment section down below. Go and say hi to Gobsmack over on his YouTube channel. I'm sure he would really appreciate that. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching today. Subscribe to stay up to date with Stormgate and other RTS games as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one.